Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Susan sits in the chair next door and makes it all happen. So any complaints, question, the queries, don't ask her. She's saying, I'm just doing my job. 8949-8037 is the number we want you to use in a bit. But right now, we want you to stay tuned and be a part of our discussion as we have this monthly series with Miss Renata. Want to know more? Well, join us right after.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And I think this was so much fun and educational, Miss Renata. We have to do it again, maybe every month. Better safe than sorry. Renata Keshkes, thanks for facilitating what has been an enlightening discussion as more of us start to appreciate how we each connected, how through that we build better bridges. So good afternoon to you. Thanks again for coming on board.
Good afternoon to all. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for inviting me to be the civilian ride along this month. Once again, the theme of the month is Better Be Safe Than Sorry. And as we all know, hurricane season will end on the 30th of November. But we thought there was a need to bring in some representatives of the regiment to tell us how important it is to still remain responsible and sensible with all these uncertainties that COVID has brought over our heads. Mm-hmm. So we would like to warmly welcome in the studio Miss Shanice Kelly and also Gabe Rebes. Did I say it right?
Yes, that's correct, yeah.
Okay, good. I hope at least I said it better than Wayne says my last name. So please tell me, briefly introduce yourself, Shanice.
Hi, I am a lieutenant in the Cayman Islands Regiment. I currently serve in regimental headquarters. Gabe and I actually joined the regiment at the same time in February 2020. We did basic training together and we did officer training together. Ultimately, I am responsible for 10 troopers. And we train, 3 times a month, more or less. And yeah, it's an interesting experience having joined the regiment. And I implore anybody who's interested in joining, they can apply now on our website, which is www.exploregov.ky/CI regiment.
You just jumped all the way. We will not get there, but thank you so much. We're going to highlight this many times throughout the coming hour that you are having a recruitment drive.
Yes.
Yes, Gabe? That's correct. Yes, we are having a recruitment drive at the moment. Currently, we're into our second week now. The closing date is the 15th of November. We're looking for keen young reservists between 18 and 50 that are PR holders, Caymanian or married to Cayman, or have, as I mentioned, PR residence.
How would you encourage listeners out there to join the regiment?
Well, we're currently, at the moment, I think we've had some great recognition more recently with the BRAC, our sister islands, assisting with food handouts to those who are in isolation. But prior to that, we've had some great PR coverage with the tropical storms. We've been out assisting everybody with clearing of debris of roadways for replacement of infrastructure, as well as transporting persons from shelters or back to their homes. So we've had a significant impact, I believe, and just by the mere means of being part of the reservists, as officers as well, we're wandering around in our uniform. So the exposure's there. I've been approached a number of times asking, how can I get involved? Great work on what you've been doing. Thanks to everybody. I believe today is Emergency Services Day or some recognition for first responders Day. I believe it is today also. So it's not just the RCIPS ambulance fire service, but I significantly think that we are part of first responders also.
You know what, when I talked to some friends of mine that I'm going to have you guys here in the studios today, they were kind of unsure about what really does the regiment do. And I think a lot of people think that it's solely a military organization, not knowing that you do deliver humanitarian aid as well. And I was so glad to hear, and I'm very proud of you, and thank you so much for your service, that you delivered groceries for over 120 families. That's incredible. Mm-hmm. So whose call was it? Tell me something. Let me help me understand. What is the link between the Royal Cayman Islands Police and the regiment in time of need? Which is the boss?
Okay, so in addition to the regiment, both are answerable to His Excellency the Governor. His Excellency would ultimately make the decision in consultancy with the Premier. Both agencies are best utilised to provide responses to be both either together or individually. In times of need, the RCIPS obviously would take the first port of call, and then we would be called upon thereafter.
I see. So it was the Governor's decision
in
to
consultation.
Deliver
in consultation with the Premier. Yes, His Premier. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So how many members of the regiment are there now?
We currently have 100 members of the regiment. We anticipate by the end of 2022 to have 175 persons serving within the regiment. As the years go on, we may increase that number depending on the value that the regiment brings to the Caymanian community. But we have 100 strong. We anticipate another 75 going forward for 2022.
Are you aiming to have recruitment drives in the sister islands as well?
Yeah, currently we've extended our recruitment drive over there, so we've got a team going over 13th of November, I believe, for an open day. We've had some expressions of interest already over there as well, so yes, most definitely.
That's well done. Stealing?
Well, I'm always enamored by watching you just jump into the seat. And, this discussion with Renata to have this series, she's naturally fits right into the chair, man. Awesome.
Oh, no. Let's see. I put together a list of interesting questions here, but instead of just talking about the regiment itself, I really like your energy and your enthusiasm, and I would really like to dip in a little bit into your personal background. Gabe, how did you get involved with the regiment? Did you go to famous Sandhurst Training Academy in the UK by any chance?
Yes. As my colleague alluded to earlier, yes, I was part of the first, let's say, junior officers to attend Sandhurst. So I was quite privileged in that respect. I think we all were very privileged to that. After completing 8 weeks, it seems a bit more longer than that with COVID restrictions and isolation and everything in place. So we were affected by that as well. Coming back home and trying to incorporate these skills learnt into the regiment.
More about this training. I'm very interested. I'm actually a trained bodyguard, so right. I have a little bit of experience as well, not as much as you, I guess, but I'm very much interested in what kind of training was it? You said 8 weeks. How intense was it?
So, from my understanding, help me out here, Lieutenant Kelly, that the 8 weeks that we went on was quite condensed, very condensed. It was very fluid, moving all the time. It's normally a 42 or 44 week course spread throughout the year, and they condensed that all into 8 weeks. So it was from early morning to late at night, sometimes overnight exercises, go all the time. It was quite disciplined. There was a lot of PT, physical exercise involved. A lot was focused on leadership, how to manage your time, discipline.
we covered basic soldiering as well, because to commemorate the end of the course, we did a passing out parade where roughly 100 people were on parade, passing out as officers. We commissioned as lieutenants, so we were one notch above the majority of the course, but it was to commemorate our hard work. And also in crisis, the COVID was rampant in the UK at the time, so we unfortunately did not pass out in the blues that they wanted to pass out in. We passed out in this dress, the MTP. And it was an epic event. We got some coverage from the Ministry of Defence when we were up there, because we were a part of the first team of junior officers to participate at the Royal Academy, Military Academy of Sandhurst. So it was a good introduction to Sandhurst. From the Cayman Islands, we were the first team to go up there, and we subsequently have sent officer cadets up there to be commissioned. From the 3 teams that we sent, Cayman Islands has always had a best international cadet. It's just something to commend our hard work and our efforts here in Grand Cayman and the sister islands. So we anticipate in the new year, if we do send another team up to the UK, that they'll get that accolade as well.
That's very cheering to know that we are in safe hands with you guys. Well done, Cayman Islands team. Yes. How many ladies are in a regiment?
Unfortunately, not a large number. We have 10 serving at the moment, and we anticipate that we get a lot more women to come and apply for the regiment during our recruitment drive. The 10 women are as tenacious and they're good at drill, or even better than some of the males, and they are committed to excellence. So I have to take my beret off to those ladies, because they come out as often as they can and they commit to their service.
Well done.
Oh, amazing. I know you use MPT instead of the dress blues. For those who are listening, just for the...
It's a multi-terrain pattern.
Yes,
that's the acronym for MTV.
Yeah. The ones we see sort of lighter hue than that with the greys and stuff.
Yeah.
Much more muted.
Yes, sir.
Just different garb.
That's great.
See that? She's like, what is that? No, I have a fashion.
As we all know, hurricane or tropical storm, I know there's still an argument out there whether it was a hurricane or a tropical storm, or let's just say Grace went pretty much in a short period of time from something little into some big of a deal.
Yeah.
And I was so impressed to hear how the regiment managed to clear the roads within a few hours.
Yeah.
What do you think the regiment did that was of particular value?
Personally, I think you just hit the nail on the head there as far as the infrastructure. My role at the time, or my position where I was actually in the NEOC, the Central Operations. So I was overseeing of what was going on throughout the teams, as well as other emergency services. And information that we were getting is that power was going to be restored many hours. This was initially many hours later after the storm had passed. And what actually happened was, because we were able to get out there pretty much soon after the storm had passed and the winds had died down. We were able to clear the roads for those key essential services to get out and reestablish infrastructure that we all know of. So something could have been 8 hours actually was reduced to like six or even 4 hours. There was also possibilities of ambulances getting through to people who needed support and help. We assisted with that. We transported personnel from homes to hospitals to shelters if need be. So we played a big part, and as unusual as it sounds, I think Tropical Storm Grace, as it was a blessing for us, as far as showing the islands and the people of the Cayman Islands what the regiment is there for. Prior to that, there was some ambiguity about what we were there for and whether we were needed or not. And I hope that Tropical Storm and other storms that we've been here for will be evident that we are there to help and assist, provide support wherever we can when we're deployed.
Right. Was Grace your first deployment?
I think it was Ida. Am I pronouncing ETA? It was ETA. It was initially, but Grace was a significant impact because the regiment were on annual camp, so we had a lot of the troops in one place at one time. So our annual camp was interrupted when we got deployed to assist.
All right. got a break to take, Renata, but when we come back, we can continue learning as you listen. All right. So join us after the break. Stay tuned.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Freedom, Cayman Brack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
20 years.
Remember when Crew Road had no median and Linford Pearson was only 2 lanes?
We do.
When Dirty Reeds was down the street?
We do.
We have been there for the falls, the growth, and the rise. When your body and mind needed to change, Powerhouse Gym has been here. We've skated with you. Your first date, your daughter's first time on skates, your son's first strike. From football to squash, to karate and hockey, to bowling and concerts, and everything in between.
For 20 years,
so much has changed, some for the good and some not so much. Through it all, King Sports Center has been here for you, for Cayman.
King Sports Center, celebrating 20 years as Cayman's home for fitness, recreation, and relaxation.
Did you know our reefs are home to over 45 different kinds of corals and more than 125 different species of fish? Cayman's amazing coral ecosystems provide so many benefits to our lives. But an aggressive coral disease called stony coral tissue loss disease, or Skittle D, is making its way around Grand Cayman and threatening our incredible corals. That's why the Department of Environment's Skittle D response team is hosting Coral Fest at the Grand Caymanian, former Holiday Inn in Safe Haven, on Saturday, November 6th from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Meet the Skittle D scientists and learn what makes Cayman's corals so important to us. Bring the kids for coral games, educational booths, and awesome prizes. Entry is free. Email coral@gov.ky or visit doe.ky for more info.
Talk today. But I do have some questions.
Talk today. Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. And joining me, and the lady to my left is Renata Keskis. Better safe than sorry, month.
Keskis, well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
No
more butchering.
Tomorrow is another day. We'll see. Small steps. But I appreciate the opportunity over this last 4 weeks to highlight certain things in our community and to see how stronger and those bridges we build, we can make us better. So thanks very much, man. And to Gabe and Ms. Kelly for coming on board and showing where the community can work together. But if I might, borrow a few seconds from you, I want to go back because training, leadership, development, capacity building makes a community stronger. And certainly the Royal Military College, Sandhurst, is renowned to the world over to be one of the top. You were sharing, some of the different trainings in addition to the PT leadership, soldiering. Now I wrote it down and I said, no, they're not soldiering, and putting things. What is that involves as the training over there to pick up what Renata was asking earlier? In addition to the PT and the physical exercise, the long runs, the swimming, and the stamina, the endurance that you were expected to build. What other sort of stuff you were doing to show the skill sets that you develop?
I guess when someone decides, you know what, I want to join the regiment, they're going to have to prepare themselves physically and mentally as well. So you said the recruitment drive is going on till 15th of November.
Is the deadline,
and the physical examination will be on the 15th of December?
Well, we haven't confirmed the date as yet. So once the candidate has moved through the application process, we'll notify them by email more than likely. and then we'll give them a specific day and time to show up to a specific venue, because we haven't confirmed venues as yet either. Due to COVID restrictions, a lot of places are booked for testing, so we have to wait out because we're not essential at this point in time. But in terms of basic soldiering, we would absolutely teach the fundamentals of discipline. So this is a challenge for someone who's interested in becoming a changed person, so to speak. If you want to learn how to get up and commit to a new challenge or a new aspect of your life, the regiment is an opportunity to do so. Basic training will encompass all the skills that you will be doing during your service in the regiment. Humanitarian aid and disaster relief is our primary remit at this point in time. So you'll be learning how to do speaking with individuals in vehicles, speaking with people in your team, because teamwork is the basis of what the regiment does. Also engaging with other agencies, because we work with the fire service and the RCIPS in certain areas and doing certain taskings, and assisting HSA if necessary. For basic training, we anticipate you to do drill, because drill is a foundation of how to improve teamwork, and also how to move in unison, because you'll be required to move as a group through some terrain that is unfamiliar to you. Also, you'll be able to work on your personal discipline, how to get up early, how to iron your kit properly, how to clean your boots properly, so that when inspection comes around, you'll be prepared and not get a tongue lashing, so to speak. So it is, I understand this is not a road for a lot of people, and they might find it difficult, and we do understand that this is not for everyone. But if you decide to take up the challenge, you can anticipate those events happening, and then you can mentally prepare that for this. If our service is best suited for you, by all means. But if you want to not conclude the basic training, we do thoroughly understand, and we will wish you the best in your future endeavors.
So just to add to that, some of the additional training that are involved is first aid. So we teach basic first aid, CPR, AED, so that's a must for all of our reservists. Map and compass reading. We've got a few exercises coming up, which we're quite excited about. All here within the island, and everybody that gets involved in that, I think will benefit from it. So being part of the regiment is rewarding, knowing that at times when we get activated, you're helping your community, you're helping your neighbour, you're helping your friends, even family members, to the best of your ability. You're trained to a standard as well. We've got lots of new kit coming, or is here already, that we're looking for people to get trained in this. We've received a purification system, a lightweight water purification system, to basically turn seawater into drinking water. So we're looking for people to know how to put that together. I'm sorry?
What's the capacity?
I don't know. It's that new. I'm not actually averse to what the capacity is at the moment. All I know is that they were testing it a couple of weeks ago, and everyone's quite super excited about it. So the equipment's there. We've got you've seen some of our vehicles, huge vehicles. So the clearance on the vehicles are quite big. So we can go where a majority of other vehicles aren't able to. And we're looking for drivers as well. So we're looking for people with specialist roles, or that are able to or want to be trained up as a specialist role.
Two things. In case you will receive a purifier that turns water into white wine, could you please give him a call? Second, let's see if Sterling right here decides to join the regiment. What would you recommend him besides the physical training? What are the basic requirements from the candidates? Let's say driver license, high school diploma.
Okay, we don't have an educational requirement at this point in time, but because we do aptitude tests, so it will determine if you are best suited for the regiment and what areas would be best for your service. We do have a signals troop, so a few volunteers specifically are assigned to signals that they'll communicate to teams through radio and other means of communication. If you're not about the adventurous training, I should say, we do have the drivers as as Gabe mentioned earlier. And we do have cooks. So we do have a portable kitchen. We have 2 capable cooks who are able to provide meals at a large scale, but they need support. So ultimately, if you want to participate as a cook, by all means.
Sure, she knows my forte.
We do need storemen as our stores expand. We need people to man the stores and be able to do logistics. There'll be times that you need to coordinate with the drivers and the quartermaster who's responsible for the stores to ensure that you can move to certain locations with no discrepancies or issues. So we need support services ultimately within the regiment. And like I mentioned, if you're not into the adventurous training, if you don't want necessarily to go on the road and help the community, you can always serve in a supportive role.
What about, you said the aptitude test? What is that like? Because you say there's no educational requirement. What's the aptitude test?
So the aptitude test is a 60 multiple choice test, 60 question multiple choice test. You get roughly an hour to do it, more or less. So it's just to gauge where you are academically and if your skills are best suited for the regiment.
So it involves some English comprehension, maths, logical questions.
But it's multiple choice?
Yes, that's correct, yes.
Awesome.
You will be safe. It's multiple choice.
Oh.
Tell me, your activities are only to Cayman Islands, or in the future, is there a possibility that you will be deployed to other Caribbean islands other than to the sister islands?
So ultimately that would be great. But starting out, we're going to look to have everything really locally. If we're able to go overseas, then yes, I know that there was talk of heading over to our sister islands to do some exercise, or maybe even some adventure training over there in the mid part of next year. So
I like the word adventure training. Good euphemism. What does that mean?
Adventure training, it could vary. We need qualified scuba divers, essentially. We would need persons who are skilled at rappelling, because the Bluff is a majestic feature in Cayman Brac, and is not the easiest thing to maneuver. So we would need skilled persons to do that, as well as skilled persons to do boat managing or maneuvering. So those are specialist skills that we anticipate that we will need in a regiment, and ultimately volunteers would help us make that possible.
So would it be more on land as opposed to sea, or are you looking at the regiment to encompass?
We anticipate we will be amphibious, because there will be like small lakes that, God forbid, someone has ended up in them. We will be assisting the fire service with getting those persons out or their property, removing them from that dangerous situation. So it all depends on the disaster or the event that we might need to participate in, and we would need medics as well to support HSA if we need to move individuals from dangerous situations.
And Reba, as you were sharing, if and when you sort of called to go overseas to some of the other territories or countries, as it were, what sort of assistance would you be expected to render if you left Cayman as a regiment to complement another OT, for instance, after some incident? What would the regiment bring to them?
I think mostly, the experience, our training, as what we've been discussing, is a big part of it. Training gives you experience and provides professionalism, let's say. So I think ultimately, if we get deployed to another overseas zone for humanitarian aid, whether they're just being there and part of it, or knowing where we can fit in, would be beneficial. They would ultimately ask us, are you able to provide X amount of reservists or troopers? We need this specialist or that specialist. If we're able to, then I'm sure that with consultancy with government, they will take over.
Maybe help with their security and stay off them out of a disaster, perhaps. So
not necessarily security. We're humanitarian aid. That's what we're probably, and disaster relief. As far as the security is concerned, we're not there to provide security.
Oh, because I remember His Excellency and Mr. Watson sharing something similar, security to overseas part of the training. So I'm just curious for emphasis.
No, we have. There's nothing in our training curriculum for security at the moment.
Okay. Not even at Sandhurst when you were there.
Well, at Sandhurst, you must remember that it's a UK and it's worldwide. So this was just for us. So Cayman, we're humanitarian aid and disaster relief, where the other countries are there for other reasons. So we were exposed to a security aspect of things. Yes, that's part of the curriculum. But coming back here, that's not something that we're looking into at the moment.
But then, how do you explain the weaponry that did not the regiment receive or expected to receive some weaponry as well?
I'm not too sure about what weaponry we're supposed to be receiving.
Okay.
We're humanitarian aid and disaster relief. That's our first and foremost priority.
Okay.
I had a good question here. I think it's really time to throw this one in. That realistically, we are never going to go to war, but it is necessary to have the full military infrastructure to provide humanitarian aid and disaster relief. Could the same ends not to be achieved by beefing up the resources of the Red Cross or creating a similar public sector agency?
Right, so it's necessary for us to have a military infrastructure in place in the Cayman Islands. Yes, I agree with you there.
Why? Why a military infrastructure in Cayman? Why is that necessary?
As it relates to organisation, the military are very renowned for organising things. So if big events, you'll find out at big events there, people at the top normally have some form of military experience. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I mean by that.
But Red Cross, and then we have the CERT program. So the humanitarian disaster relief, I think Red Cross, not military, internationally.
Yeah, Red Cross, not necessarily military, but if you look further into Red Cross, at the top, they do have military experience.
Oh yeah, I mean the training without question as the discipline that you get, but
so the CIR, the Cayman Islands Regiment, is a reservist unit and consists primarily of volunteers who contribute their time to serve. The regiment supports agencies like Hazard Management, RCIPS, and the Red Cross, as you alluded to. The regiment's remit is humanitarian aid and disaster relief, and can be done effectively, as we just spoke about, as a military organisation.
I see. With COVID lingering still above our head, and it's unfortunately not going anywhere anytime soon, how COVID has challenged your work?
Yes, it has. Since joining the regiment, I've had nothing but COVID restrictions from prior to Sandhurst. We went to Bermuda, and it was just starting then. So up until this day, COVID's always been at the forefront of our minds. So when it comes to social distancing, we're on top of the policies and the guidelines that the government have put in place, and we're trying to stick by them as best as we can, with our reservists, so that we're avoiding community transmission. We're looking to get our men and women tested on a regular basis, vaccinated. The majority of us are vaccinated also.
Is it a requirement from the regiment for you to be vaccinated?
No, it's not a requirement. No, it's not a mandatory requirement. No,
it's not.
All right.
So sorry on that. So if there are unvaccinated candidates out there who would like to join the regiment, they can apply.
So we would encourage them to take a PCR test prior to their first assessment, and we would ask them to notify us that they are unvaccinated as well, because we can't make the assumption that everyone is vaccinated, but we would like to ensure for the safety of our staff and the fellow candidates. Just showed us that you have a negative PCR test.
And if they didn't, what happened?
We would have to ask them to apply again in the future.
Okay. Bad time to take a break, but got to take a break. When we come back, we'll conclude our discussion. Stay tuned, please.
Savannah Pharmacy. Shop local and get a head start on your Christmas shopping. For ladies' handbags, clothes, shoes, fragrance, candles, and cosmetics with the newest Farmhouse Fresh line of skincare. For the gentlemen, clothes, shoes, fragrances, gift sets, and toys and games for the kids. Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they are always just around the corner with everything your family needs. And convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
A friendly holiday reminder. You can WhatsApp your Savannah Pharmacy prescription to 929-5045. That's 929-5045.
At Subway, we caramel a lot about our customers, so we decided to give you 2 treats in one with the new Caramel Apple Cookie. Enjoy cinnamon apples, caramel bits, and salted caramel crunch baked in, and topped with a drizzle of caramel-flavored icing. Gooey, crunchy, and yummy. Complete your Subway sandwich, pizza, or salad with the delicious Caramel Apple Cookie or any other cookie flavor and dessert, available for a limited time at all Subway locations. Subway, eat fresh.
The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you. We are a non-for-profit member-centric plan with a democratically elected volunteer board of trustees representing all sectors of the Cayman Islands economy. Chamber Pension has an all-in expense ratio of 0.72% over 16,000 members, $430 million in assets under management. We were the first multi-employer pension plan approved by the regulator in the late 1990s. And today, we are still strong, secure, and are here for employees and employers alike. If you would like to join or request further information, visit chamberpension.ky. And for information as it happens, follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Email admin@pensions.ky or call 745-7630. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you.
During October, the Department of Children and Family Services celebrates Older Persons Month. As part of this year's theme, Digital Equity for All, the DCFS will be offering classes for those over 65 on how to better use their phones. Modern phones can do so much. Learn to take great pictures, connect and stay in touch with your loved ones, and how to take care of your banking and errands. Workshops on these topics are being held throughout the Older Persons Month at the Older Persons Active Aging Centre. Please call 949-0290 to book your spot. That is 949-0290.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And a few more minutes as we focus on what has been better safe than sorry month. Renata Keskis.
Better be safe than sorry.
Better be safe than sorry. And well, you hopefully will come back again. Not next year, maybe before that. Not October, maybe even earlier. We can do some other series.
See.
We shall see.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, just before we wrap up, I hope a lot of listeners tune in for this interesting interview that we had with Miss Shanice Kelly and Gabe Prabes from the regiment. We really hope that we could introduce them in a way that it made it attractive for a lot of listeners to join the recruitment drive and maybe drop off the applications. On that note, how can you guys be found? Do you have a social media platform?
Oh, of course we do. So we're currently on Instagram and Facebook at Cayman Islands Regiment. In terms of applying for the regiment, we encourage persons to visit our website, which is www.exploregov.ky/CI regiment. You can find the application form there and then submit the form to info@ciregiment.ky. So the application deadline is November 15th. If you're on the fence about it, just apply. The worst case scenario, we will ask you to reapply in the future. But we would like to encourage everyone who is eligible, so persons between the ages of 18 to 50 who are Caymanian or permanent residents, who have a clean police record, and also who are able to withstand the physical obligations of the task at hand. Put in your application, and we hope to see you later on this year and early in 2022.
Thank you. Anything to add, Gabe?
Yeah, Just one more thing from my side. I'd like to thank all the employers really for their continued support, allowing the reservists to attend the training. I know it's difficult at times, but in the long run, it is for the betterment of the Cayman Islands, which we all form part of. Your employees end up being trained for specific roles, first aid, which will help them as well as yourselves in the workplace. So thank you very much for your continued support.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. And this is where I think, as we educate, inform, involve, and include more of us in the discussions, and we can sort of iron out the things we can improve our skill sets, build capacity, understand, as you referenced earlier, gave the need for water during that time. We're surrounded by sea, so a lot of sailboats and others have desal plants on board. Some of us have little ROs at home. We can do more and more. So we'll see what the capacity is like. Renata has been awesome watching you.
Yeah.
You're
gonna making me blush.
No, man.
Yeah. Well, my final word would be the two of you, and I hope you will extend my appreciation to the rest of the team. Thank you so very much for being out there for us.
No, thank you. Thank you for having us.
looking after us. Yeah. And I would like to encourage all the listeners to remain responsible and make sure to follow all the guidelines given by the government these uncertain times to make your work and your life easier as well. So thank you.
Thank you for inviting us. We hope to see you again soon.
Oh, definitely. And as a people, let's work together, build camaraderie, civility, and compassion. All right, we're going to pause, take a break. When we come back after headline news, we'll make sure things run and roll. And afterwards, well, maybe we can start planning for future shows, Ms. Renata.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, we can think about some good things, maybe how to cook, how to boil water with a burning egg. I don't know. All right. Well, after the news, we take your calls from some open line, 949-8837. That's an easy number to dial, but not as cheap as the toll-free compliments of Flow at 1-800-534-TALK. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
89.9 Radio Cayman helps you to weather the storm during this hurricane season.
One of the most crucial elements of hurricane preparedness is storm awareness. During the season, it is of utmost importance to pay attention to the latest local weather forecasts, as hurricanes do not suddenly form or strike. There are various methods of advanced notification. Utilizing such may be the difference between a favorable outcome and disaster. Both television and radio serve as excellent mediums with up-to-the-minute storm path information in the wake of a hurricane. Another method of tracking a hurricane may be only arm's length away. Your smartphone or tablet can be your most valuable tool before, during, and after a storm, providing countless numbers of apps with crucial hurricane information. Many apps allow you to track storms with moving radar and satellite imagery, plus offer alerts, current conditions, forecasts, advisories, and even video.
This hurricane preparedness tip was brought to you by your community radio station, Radio Cayman 89.9 FM.
This is how we wake you up in the morning. Praise time on Radio Cayman.
Stairs, 'cause I know my Jesus answers all my prayers.
Praise time.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
Praise time.
There's nothing to go back to. Give me Jesus in the morning. For the God of the mountain is still God in the valley.
Praise time.
Jesus in the morning, yeah.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
Continuing the Caymanian tradition.
Let Cora keep my ground so clean.
The heart and soul of the Cayman people. Thank you for keeping the culture alive.
Spread the news every day. From East End to Georgetown, down into West Bay.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The General Post Office in Georgetown closes today for deep cleaning and mail sanitization. The measure follows an employee receiving a positive result for COVID-19 following lateral flow testing. Other employees will be tested during the closure. Postal Services staff have been wearing PPE at work. As a precaution, mail already delivered to post offices boxes will be removed, sanitized, and resorted to boxes. Members of the public are asked not to access the post office facilities until this process is complete. In international news, U.S. President Joe Biden unveiled a revamped $1.75 trillion spending plan on Thursday, calling it a historic investment in the country's future. No one got everything they wanted, including me, he said, acknowledging the struggle within his party to reach consensus on a pair of landmark bills. Narrow margins in Congress require nearly unanimous support from the Democrats for the bills to pass. They include major investments in infrastructure, climate, and childcare. Singapore is looking into an unusual surge of 5,324 new infections of COVID-19. The city-state's health minister said its highest such figure since the beginning of the pandemic as beds in intensive care units fill up. 10 new deaths on Wednesday carried the toll to 349 after 3,277 infections the previous day, while the ICU utilization rate is nearing 80% despite a population that is 84% fully vaccinated, with 14% receiving booster doses. The UK plans to remove the 7 countries remaining on its red travel list from November 1st. This follows the UK introducing a new system for international travel earlier this month, in which testing requirements were loosened for many fully vaccinated travelers and destinations were designated either red or green. A week later, the UK removed 47 countries from the red list, leaving only 7 red destinations: Colombia, Dominican Republic, Ecuador, Haiti, Panama, Peru, and Venezuela. Those are your latest headlines here on Radio Cayman. I'm Shanda Gallego.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
On a daily basis, making it easy to connect with you, our listeners. Add us to WhatsApp today, 925-3261. That's 925-3261.
Radio Cayman.
Send a text or voice note. You don't really have to ask us. Just send a request.
This is a shout out to my ex.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
Country
classics.
Well, I was born to coal miner's daughter.
On the road again. They're gonna put me in the movies.
Papa Top again.
Out in the West Texas town of El Paso.
Because you're mine, I walk the line.
Well, I love
country
classics.
Young love, first love.
You never count your money when you're sitting at the table.
If you enjoy classic country music, come hang out with Radio Cayman this Saturday, 3:30 to 6 p.m.
In the Mississippi cotton picking Delta town.
This Saturday afternoon, following American Country Countdown, 3:30 to 6 on Radio Cayman.
Just walk on by. Wait on the corner.
Country
classics.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thank you for joining us with some open line now for the next half hour thereabouts. Well, according to Ms. Susan, 25 minutes and 33 seconds with commercials. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255, or WhatsApp 925-3261, and share your thoughts. 1:30 discussion was focused around resilience Cayman. I'll get a chance to share with you with John Gupta for a bit. Between now and then, though, what's on your mind? I think, without question, we're seeing the growing concern and fears within our communities, and hopefully we can still be responsible, civil, respectful, and the like, but try to allay our fears as best as we can whenever we're having a discussion, to be receptive to each other's, perspectives, Our opinions may differ, but I think our concerns are the same, and that is for us to have a safe, healthy, stable civil society where people can appreciate that for democracy to be enjoyed, for us to respect the sacrifices of those over the centuries who have championed such freedoms. That's important that we are able to navigate this new sort of territory in which we find ourselves. But what's on your mind? It may not be all about this thing. It may not even be the unprecedented traffic jams that the Bragg experience. It may not be what the political landscape will be like going forward. It may not be the challenging economic times that we are facing as individuals, the concerns of not just this government or the government as we elect over the years to sort of serve our country. It may be globally. What will the world look like as we age, as our children come into their own, as the next generations take up the mantle? Will it be one where we're working together, or will it be a growing, divided community where it would seem that dystopian society of some of the novels that we may have read have come to pass? Well, what is on your mind? Maybe you have an appropriate joke of the day that you want to share. Well, go right ahead. Sometimes a little laughter can lighten the mood and may actually bring people to a better sort of space. But you decide. Platform is yours. We offer up the podium. 949-8037. Toll free with the compliments of flow if you choose. 1-800-534-8255. Or you can WhatsApp 925-3261. Sometimes, as we look at where we are, we consider how things are changed and how they are changing. The gentleman who called yesterday relative to the question on the census and as he shared, his personal experiences going through the court system as a father, sometimes feeling as if he's being disenfranchised. It's not unlike, maybe how we've seen as referenced yesterday as well, the road signage being changed so that it's as inclusive and as encompassing as possible to emphasize that those who are working could be male, female, or however we are classified these days. And sometimes it isn't because we are deliberately insensitive. It's just that we are unaware that things have changed and things now reflect and represent something that no longer sort of accords with people's particular mindsets. But how do we ensure that, one, we're not, even when we're not trying to be pedantic, at times we're not insensitive, nor are we becoming, so, how you would say it, focus on minutia that we have little no regard for the intent or the outcome. In that, when we were opting to select certain words to describe certain things in an endeavor to be inclusive, we may, in fact, have actually conveyed in our communication something that has only confounded a particular audience, as opposed to focusing on what is important. Take, for instance, the word guys. Do we say that now, meaning male and female on all that are assembled, or do we still think of it as just male? And even that, these days, had a discussion late yesterday evening with some younger people who were, the view that we are now perhaps, and this was interesting, because I think sometimes we think that because they're young, they're always ill-informed, or they're always particularly inclined to whatever the flavor of the day. But these younger individuals in the community were the view that are we becoming so obsessed with, now they didn't use this word, but perhaps it would resonate with us, that are not as young as they are, political correctness, that we're losing out on the fact that there are differences, but we are more alike, and so let's celebrate those. Let's go to the phones, though. Good afternoon. Welcome. Thank you for calling.
You sure you're going to thank me?
Well, depends. I mean, you offer me something good.
Yeah.
How are you, sir?
I don't know. I'm going to ask you a few days ago, I think it was last week. I asked you if you could invite someone from Flow to come on to your show. I don't know if you were successful.
Yeah, well, you know, as I listened to the question and as I shared it with you, I'm wondering if that question shouldn't have been all-encompassing to all of the other carriers, and as well as the regulatory regime that is responsible.
But Sterling, as they come up, I will call them out.
Yeah.
But I want to make a little addition onto what I was calling a few days ago. My internet went out a few days ago, but from the time they put in this, it was a new fiber optic thing. They say it was better service, quicker, but it's worse in my area, and I'm not talking on a new one. Anyhow, yesterday I was on a long distance call, and my WhatsApp went out. So I said, well, you know, they've been having a lot of problem with the lines lately, so I guess it's that. And then I was saying, you know, because they came and they put in a new box. They put in a new box for my TV, and they ran new wires, everything, blah, blah. I think it was like 2 days or 3 days they came by and put it half in order. So I usually pay my bill, you know, on payday. But certain things I wasn't feeling well, and I didn't want to drive down. So I said, well, you know, on Friday I would go and take care of it, because they shouldn't have a problem after my didn't have no service for a couple of days. So I decided to call in to the office yesterday, and they told me, yep, it was cut off. And I'm just saying, they are providing service for the public. And if they don't have enough technicians or service people, they should hire more, because it's not they're not making money, and you know it's a public service, so they need to serve the public good. And I was so surprised, Mr. Sterling, because that computer is set for a certain time, and they cut it off, although they knew that I didn't have no service a few weeks back for a couple of days. Is that something? Doesn't we have a minister that oversees that and make sure that service is being provided to the customer?
But with that in mind, I mean, to what extent do you think big companies that control, you know, markets and have the share which they do really care about the individual customer? But more importantly, regulatory authorities, whether, and not just generally speaking, here, there, or anywhere, to what extent are they really cognizant of what is going on? I mean, do they serve the interests of the industry, or are they looking out for the interests of the consumer?
I don't know. I really don't know. I really don't know. It's a big company. I know they're making money. They got a lot of most of the island connected up. So there's no problem with money. And as long as you don't pay, you don't get no service.
But isn't that how it should be?
Although I went this morning and got it. What you say?
But isn't that how it should be? If you don't pay, you don't play. I mean, you know.
Right. And what about when you don't serve the people the right way? What about that one?
Well, this is where we're wondering now to what extent, or we're looking at, I guess, the approach of businesses generally, not just in Cayman.
If you are a fisherman and you know that you got a big demand, aren't you responsible to supply the fish to people?
But in order to supply the fish, you need to make sure that you can procure it. I mean, if you went fishing today with Sprat, but you need a squid or a conch, and you didn't make the catch, how do you provide that to the customers that you promised, or who were?
Well, that is up to you because you providing the fish. So you have people depending on you, and it's not that you can't catch the fish as long as you use the right bait. Okay.
Right. But what about the provider who gives you a 619?
Well, that's another story again. But I would like to find out if you had anybody to come on to your show, because it's not only me one. It's not only me one complaining about this.
Right. Well, what do you think it would matter?
And let me tell you another thing, Mr. Sterling. I've had a lot of friends of mine lately saying that they can get better service from overseas. The same television and stuff from overseas. I didn't even know that until 2 days ago. And I got a lot of friends around that say that they are connected on into the States somewhere, and they get good service and for much cheaper rate. Can you imagine?
Well, they might be able to argue.
They're off island and providing a better service than the local one here, which this has nothing to do now with the staff. Maybe the staff have a problem with their TV too, I'm pretty sure, somewhere down the line. So I'm not talking or complaining about the staff, because when you go in there, they're really nice to you. But it's the company in general that I'm talking about. The big, you know, the ones upstairs. They, like, you asked me a question, are they worried? No, they know that they got customers and maybe adding on more every day, so they really don't care. But if we have a minister that could oversee that and make sure that they provide the service for the customer. And like I said, if they don't have enough technicians, the company is big enough to hire more people to serve the public, correct? Thank you, sir.
And thank you too. And hopefully, you know, we'll get to a space where sometimes people may not appreciate something is transpiring because it didn't land on their desk. Maybe when they hear about it, they'll take the initiative and address it. So thank you for bringing that to the fore. All right, let's pause and take that short break. And when we come back, we'll talk today.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette, brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Sometime before 1837, a Mr. William Ryan, a restless traveler from Dublin who had worked in New York, jumped ship in Colombia. He would then go to Jamaica, where he trekked by foot from Kingston to Montego Bay, and somehow found his way to Cayman Brac, where he married the lone daughter of Stephen Foster and Elizabeth Christian, a Miss Sarah Christian. The two had 4 sons and then moved to Roatan, Honduras. Following Ryan's passing, Sarah Ryan went to Belize and then moved her sons back to Cayman Brac and brought with her an impoverished carpenter named William Kirkconnell. The two would later bear a son named Watler Kirkconnell, who went on to establish one of the most prominent Bracker families. Information from this historical vignette was sourced from Founded Upon the Seas, A History of the Cayman Islands and Their People by Michael Creighton and the New History Committee.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette, brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Call 949-7331 and ask about MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you. We are a non-for-profit member-centric plan with a democratically elected volunteer board of trustees representing all sectors of the Cayman Islands economy. Chamber Pension has an all-in expense ratio of 0.72% over 16,000 members, $430 million in assets under management. We were the first multi-employer pension plan approved by the regulator in the late 1990s. And today, we are still strong, secure, and are here for employees and employers alike. If you would like to join or request further information, visit chamberpension.ky. And for information as it happens, follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Email admin@pensions.ky or call 745-7630. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. WhatsApp 925-3261. You know, the caller before always poses very provocative questions and hopefully will evoke, much discourse within the populace as we consider what the policies should be like. Do we always point fingers and castigate, hold others to account? Are we ourselves willing to stand and be responsible for whatever is transpiring? But the question, though, to what extent are we engaging in this sort of new world that we find ourselves these days? Are differences of opinion tolerated, accepted, expected, encouraged? Is it that if you don't toe the line, sing from the same hymnal, attend and sit in the same pew each day, that somehow you are, what do you say, an upstart? Well, maybe it is important for us to speak, but do so respectfully and responsibly. Now, that doesn't mean that we have to be loud and boisterous, but it doesn't mean that just because we're diminutive and quiet, soft-spoken, that our voices shouldn't be heard. The problem sometimes is that, what is it they say? Out of sight, out of mind. So if you're not front and center, what is it they say? Squeaky wheel gets the oil. Well, maybe it is time for people to start to appreciate, ask questions, but not in a way to be inflammatory nor defamatory, but in a way to ask people to actually think. It shouldn't be that we've accepted what now seemingly is the idiom. Common sense isn't so common anymore. Well, it should be. Ignorance, ineptitude, insolence, and sadly, arrogance is being promoted as the new bastions. And what is worse, mediocrity is being rewarded. For the person who questions authority, do we look at them and saying, but you know what, somebody should keep the guardians in check. But then those who are sort of positioned, are we giving them the resources? And not the big guns, so to speak, not the might of the pen or the wealth of the bank, but the resources, the aptitude, the skill sets, that thing which hopefully, if we employ the psychometric testing appropriately, if we expected people to be raised and reared in a semblance of civility and conscience and consideration, that we'll see. But that also has to be something that we work as a society to become the norm. How many times, you've gone into a classroom and you watch the teacher very eagerly and wonderfully engage the entire class, that if you're looking from outside, you may not necessarily appreciate what is transpiring, but the teacher has everybody actively engaged as she is asking questions to promote a sense of meaningful discussion. Or you've gone into the class and everybody's head is bowed and the pens are furiously scribbling away. Now, is that class, you think, the better managed class, most productive of the students' time, or is it the former? Well, without fully understanding what the exercise at hand, we may draw perhaps ill-informed and perhaps ill-advised conclusions. 949-8037, 1-800-534-TALK. Let's go to the phones. Hey, welcome, good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Hi, good afternoon.
How are you today?
I'm not too sure what your topic is today, but...
you let it be the topic of choice.
Okay, thanks. Well, I found out something about a developer here who built some apartments, and I understand that some people that contracted pre-construction, that the developers are now increasing by 30,000 their prices, and so there was something in a contract that said that if the apartment wasn't built within a certain amount of time, that they could cancel the contract.
Mm-hmm.
So some people have been it's actually, I understand it's quite a few people that they have been waiting all this time for their apartments to be built, and they're completed now, but the owners, the developers, has been waiting it out, letting time pass. And so these people have now received a letter saying that if they want the apartment, that they have to pay an extra $30,000. So can you imagine?
So is that because maybe we're seeing increased costs because of shortages and the like, that the developer is saying, well, we didn't expect this, or is it just a sheer case of greed?
Well, it's greed because the apartments have been built for, some time now, and they're just waiting. They had just installing until this timeline in the contract has been reached, and then the day or two after, people get these letters, from the developers' lawyers saying that they have to, cough up $30,000.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a ripoff. You sign a contract saying, you're going to pay this amount, and how is it the person's fault?
All right. I guess this is one of those things where we look at, what is it in the fine print in the contract, and then where is the, and I say this carefully, the conscience, the ethics of, the handshake of the individuals, the entities behind these.
The reason I'm calling is because they have other apartment complexes, and they're developing other complexes. So it's, I think it's called Ocean Reach, and they're developing other apartments.
Yeah.
So if they're going to do that to people should be warned that, there's that little phrase in there, that little section in the contract that they better watch out for, because this is definitely a way of getting people. All they have to do is stall a little bit, and a day or two after that, and then they can come back and say, well, no, now you have to cough up more money.
Right. And I think as you share that too, we have heard from just general discussions because of how last year has transpired and the impact on costs, the availability of building materials, for instance. Some contracts now potentially may have verbiage to the extent that should this occur, and these costs rise, we can pass it on. But then to your point, where is the conscience and the ethos, the ethics of certain businesses and business people, developers and the like, that would override any desire on their part to make a little bit extra profit just because they can. Some must.
Fair. Not really fair, and then I think government should look into this, because that's not. If anything, I'm hoping that somebody hears this and watches out for those developers where Ocean Reach is, because they're doing others, and other people should watch out for that.
Mm-hmm. Well, it is, unfortunately, many of us are trusting. Perhaps we're not as savvy as we should be when it comes to looking at contracts, and maybe we just think that people are like us, do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. Who knows, huh? What then do you think is going to happen? I mean, should they, well, maybe it's a good time to leave that question. I never know where it will take us. But to the caller's point, perhaps it's good to pay attention and don't take things at face value. All right, it's that time to pause and take a break. Our guest for the next segment is here. We got to talk about, Resilience Cayman. You want to know more about it? You've heard it? Well, let's see if we can have a chance to chat. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
You see how hard it's raining?
Yeah, and I don't have time to fight traffic and get my lunch from Subway. I have so much work to do.
Why don't you order Subway by using the Let's Eat or Bento app? Save time, stay dry, and get your sandwich fast.
I never thought of that. Great idea. I'm going to order now.
Order me a veggie pizza while you're at it.
And a cookie platter for the office.
Too busy at work or home? Is the rainy weather stopping you from dining out? Order your favorite Subway sandwich, wrap, or pizza through the Let's Eat or Bento app with fast and reliable delivery. Subway, eat fresh.
We may be in Christmas shopping mode, but 'tis the flu season too. Savannah Pharmacy has immune system boosters for the entire family with a range of vitamins and supplements. Their knowledgeable and courteous pharmacists are always available to offer the best advice and products. Remember, they are always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
A friendly holiday reminder. You can WhatsApp your Savannah Pharmacy prescription to 929-5045. That's 929-5045.
CUC reminds you to always be aware of power lines. Before operating machinery, erecting scaffolding, trimming trees, drilling wells, digging holes, or carrying out construction work near overhead or underground power lines, always check with CUC customer service team at 949-5200 or via email at service@cuc.ky to ensure your plan of action is safe. Safety first with CUC.
World Polio Day is celebrated on October 24 annually. We pause to reflect. Beginning with our first polio project in the Philippines in 1979, Rotary International has worked diligently to eradicate polio around the world. Rotarians have contributed over $2.1 billion and countless volunteer hours partnering with the Global Polio Eradication Initiative, eliminating polio from 5 of the 6 World Health regions, protecting nearly 3 billion children in 122 countries from a disease affecting children under the age of 5. 35 years later, we are this close, 99.9% accomplished, just a step away from a polio-free world. A message from Rotary Central Cayman Islands. Serve to change lives.
I've got some beautiful clothes. I know just where they go. Good and cleaner.
From now on until October 30th, take advantage of our 12% discount on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays on all ladies and gents wearing apparels on orders $18 and up, except on wedding dresses and evening gowns, which will remain at the standard price at 10% off prepay. Offer valid at all 3 locations: Savannah Countryside 946-1884, Elgin Avenue 949-2452, and Eastern Avenue drive-through, rain or shine, 949-7104. Puritan Cleaners, you feel good when you know you look good. Each Tuesday and Thursday from 7:30 a.m. to 9 a.m.
The Tuesday and Thursday edition of The Business Buzz is brought to you by Optical Outlook. Visit them at their new location in Anderson Square. Telephone 746-2020. Come see the difference with Optical Outlook.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. I got to thank Miss Norma and Miss Paulette for allowing me to have this job, because next thing they'll say, we pay you to have fun. Well, through the company of Miss Susan, through the wonderful guests that we have through our studios from time to time, I get to learn a lot. Sometimes even laugh, as Miss Susan reminds me. Well, Miss Jan Gupta from Resilience Cayman, thank you for coming on board, having a chance to meet you, share with you, and then understand more about Resilience Cayman, some of the new programs and initiatives that you're sharing. So welcome and good afternoon.
Thank you so much. I'm really happy to be here. We have some really exciting things that we are working on. But for those listeners who may not be as familiar with Resilience, perhaps I can just share a little bit about how it came about and what we've been up to. So I started Resilience in April of last year. At first, it was an initiative of within Chamber of Commerce. This is during lockdown. And the original intent at the beginning was really about looking at what are the immediate needs that COVID brought about in terms of people being locked down, being thrown out of work, and then how would they afford to eat? And we can't all go anywhere. Right. So we started with that as our primary program, which was really food vouchers. And it's an interesting challenge on how to distribute and assist people when everybody is required to be at home. So how do you organize any effort and how do you help people for what they need? So we had to go to technology. And what we found is within 3 days of announcing our launch, we had 5,000 applications received online. Wow. And we hadn't even announced it out in the media yet. So somehow word got out, and we ended up with a deluge of applications. And that indicated to us that there was an immediate need that wasn't yet being met, because this is in the early days. And since then, that program, we ended up keeping about 3,000 families fed over the next 3 to 4 months. So that was the height of the crisis as far as businesses being closed and nobody is able to work. So really that period from about April until about July, August, until businesses started reopening, were some of the most difficult for a lot of people and families here. And so we were able to step up and assist along with a lot of wonderful NPOs and churches. Everybody lent a hand, and that was really encouraging to see. And so since then, what we've also done is that we've expanded the scope of some of our programs because we saw that the needs were changing. So in addition to food, we were finding that as people were going back to work, they weren't getting the same hours. So this is for the low-income wage earners who are maybe hourly workers. They may be back at their jobs, but before, let's say they were making $2,000 a month, now they're making $800. But they still have the same level of bills. Their rent doesn't go down. Their CUC doesn't go down. Their food doesn't go down.
If anything, it's probably more expensive now.
Absolutely. So what we then came up with was a CUC utility relief program, where for people, and by the way, this is all online applications, so that's one of the key things that we started with, is that people are able to reach out to us online. And they can submit their applications online from their home and upload documents, etc. And we have a very fast turnaround time because most of the people who work with us are volunteers, but they're trained. In fact, a lot of them, I'm proud to say, are young Caymanians. So we also brought in young Caymanians who are graduates from school or they're going to university here, and we're looking for work experience. Well, what better way to experience work than to also be able to help your community?
A win-win all around, huh?
Exactly. Yeah. So we had an internship program last summer where we actually trained 35 young Caymanians on how to work in this kind of setting where it's some of it is virtual, some you're meeting people, some you're talking to them on the phone, and how to put together programs and deliver them. And so in addition to the actual assistance, we also have a great base, I guess, of young Caymanians who now are very engaged in the community efforts, the grassroots community efforts that are taking place. So that's another win that came out of this. And the CUC Relief Program was something that came out from us surveying people who were getting food assistance. And we found that, yes, they're back at work, but now they're struggling to pay their CUC bills. So they're getting disconnected. And so we came out with that program where we would, if they qualified, we would be able to help them pay off their bill so they don't get disconnected. What I'm here to talk about today, which is really exciting, is now this next evolution of our program, which is, and this is thanks to a new grant we've just received from R3. What we are happy to announce is that based on this grant, which is a very generous donation of $500,000, which is a big number for a nonprofit in the nonprofit space, we are actually launching on November 1st, which is this coming Monday, a program which is going to include food vouchers, utility relief, so CUC and water, as well as rent assistance for people who qualify. Now, what we're trying to do is really to not duplicate efforts in any way, because there are more than enough people who need help. And so we have to make sure that the distribution of assistance is fair and equitable. So what we're doing is coordinating with NAU, with Ministry of Tourism, and other nonprofits to make sure that people who don't qualify necessarily for their programs, or perhaps they are in the backlog, they are waiting for their applications to be reviewed, they're still struggling on a daily basis. Right. You see, there's kind of an interesting thing that happens with timing, as we were talking about. The person who's got a hungry belly is hungry today. Yeah. For us to tell them that, well, your application is pending, or we're still reviewing it, it's kind of a disconnect as far as, you know, how do we address their need today so that they can still be equipped to wait for perhaps if they have a pending application to be heard and reviewed. So that's really where we come in, where we're able to provide temporary assistance, whether that's for a month or that's for 3 months, in the form of these 4 areas, including rent, assistance, food, and utilities.
Right. What sort of criteria? I mean, you've certainly referenced the people in need and the like, and commend you for trying to navigate all of the different agencies so there isn't this overlap or continued disconnect. Right. But what would qualify someone for assistance? One
of the things we found is that the kind of key category of people on the island who have all of a sudden developed this need, and perhaps the programs that already exist from before don't cater to them. They're not necessarily geared towards them, are working people who are struggling because they have traditionally worked and made their way through life.
All of a sudden, no, they don't have enough.
All of a sudden, now they have to join the line, perhaps with the longer-term unemployed people. And so there's been a lot of interesting things that we have learned through doing this, which is that a lot of times people who are desperately in need don't know how to ask for it.
Yeah. Sadly.
And then the second thing is they don't know where to turn. So even if you are to put in front of them, here's a program, they still have to make that effort to be able to, reach out and communicate and say, I need this because I'm facing this. And so we're trying to make that easy by doing our applications online. And most people do have access, even if they don't have it at home. They might have Wi-Fi elsewhere.
Right.
And we also have a call-in number, so people can call, and there will be a live person who answers the call. So they can actually at least get their voice heard and be able to ask for what they need. And so I will mention the number later and the website later. So it was, as far as this program goes, it's available to individuals who are resident. So it's Caymanians, PR, and work permit holders. And in fact, the work permit holders could have an active permit or even an expired permit where they were working here, but right now they're stuck here. They don't necessarily have a way to get back home. wherever they may have come from. And so these programs are really designed to make sure that we can take care of people in the short term. Now with the borders reopening, hopefully there is an opportunity for them to be able to go home as well. So at least 18 years old, and they're unable to pay any of those elements that I mentioned. So they may only want food assistance and they are okay on other aspects, or they may need rent assistance, or they may need all of them. As part of the online application, we also ask people to share with us their family's budget. So what is their rent? How much are they spending on food? Et cetera, et cetera. So we can get a good picture, not just of what they are earning, but also what their expenses are. And a lot of times there is that mismatch. Sometimes it's kind of unavoidable. Other times we find that there's an opportunity to also help them with budgeting skills because they don't necessarily know how to manage their budget. They don't know where they're necessarily spending money until they put it down for this application. They don't necessarily realize how much money is going out from their pocket.
Yeah, it's a key tool. I mean, many of us, that financial planning, the sense of financial literacy.
Yes.
For many of us, even as you mentioned, the working stiff, comes and pays the utilities and all of the standard expenses, and there's more month than money, they say.
Exactly. So we have developed an online video course for Budgeting 101. And it's part of the application where people will watch this budgeting series as well, just so they understand what some of the concepts are. And then we will know that they have watched it and at least know the language and some of the ideas behind how to stay within your budget.
Yeah.
Other qualifying criteria is exactly what I said before. They don't qualify or they have yet to be approved by other programs for assistance like NAU or Ministry of Tourism. So we will be making sure that, there's coordination. And then they expect less than $1,500 per month of income for the coming month. So this is on a month-by-month application basis because people's situation changes. So we ask them to apply when the window opens on November 1st and provide us with information on what they're expecting their November to look like so that we can then assess them on that basis and be able to provide them assistance the same month.
Okay. So when you come back from this short break, why don't you continue and you talk more about the eligibility and the like and expound further, but as you shared, it's open to all on Sunday who are legally on island as it is now.
Yes.
All right. Well, Mr. John, certainly looking forward to hearing more from you. To our listeners, join us right after the break.
Are you planning a social, an office party, or event over the holiday season? Make the most of your holiday party and leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway Box to Go with the option of a 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. Cater your holiday parties with Subway. Visit subway.ky for menu options. Subway, eat fresh.
Savannah Pharmacy. Shop local and get a head start on your Christmas shopping. For ladies' handbags, clothes, shoes, fragrance, candles, and cosmetics with the newest Farmhouse Fresh line of skincare. For the gentlemen, clothes, shoes, fragrances, gift sets, and toys and games for the kids. Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they are always just around the corner with everything your family needs. And convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
A friendly holiday reminder. You can WhatsApp your Savannah Pharmacy prescription to 929-5045. That's 929-5045.
Come on, Cayman. Let's get ready to reopen. Countries all over the world are proving life can go on and we can safely coexist with COVID-19 in our community. With open borders, our readiness will be vital to protect each other and our islands. We can do this. Have your voice heard and pledge you are ready to safely reopen. Visit reopencayman.com. Join the movement and pledge that you are ready to reopen on November 20.
Your Radio Cayman 6 p.m. news, Monday through Friday, is brought to you by Logic. Your life connected.
Some believe cancer doesn't happen to people who are young, healthy, and happy, but it does.
The Lions Club of Tropical Gardens invite the community to join the Brenda Tibbetts Lund Memorial Virtual Walk Run, October 29th to 31st, in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Walk any day between October 29th to the 31st.
Walk alone, run with a team, or participate with your family. Registration is only $25 at eventpro.ky or the Lions Club of Tropical Gardens Pink Shop on Shedden Road, located across from the Mango Tree Restaurant parking lot. Registration includes a t-shirt or tank top and raffle entry. Funds raised will help to support mammogram screenings. Post your walk-run photos to Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Hashtag BTL Walk Run. Hashtag LCTG Breast Cancer Awareness. Email photos to bcawareness@gmail.com. The Lions Club of Tropical Gardens Brenda Tibbetts Lund Memorial Virtual Walk Run, October 29th to the 31st.
Just never give up.
Choose informal times to talk to your child about alcohol. Having frequent talks with your child in a safe environment will show that you care and encourage a more open and honest dialogue about the risks of underage drinking. For tips, log on to www.ndc.ky. This message was brought to you by the National Drug Council and Radio Cayman.
The 8:10 a.m. weather report, Monday through Friday, is proudly sponsored by Pan American International Insurance Corporation. Pan American International Insurance Corporation, meeting the life, accident, and health insurance needs of individuals and businesses to ensure financial security and peace of mind. For more information, call 949-8304 or visit www.palig.com. That's PALIG.com.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us in the studio. Mr. John Gupta, Resilience Cayman, and you were sharing for those who just joined. It's I guess financial assistance program, some budgeting and sort of budgeting 101, financial planning.
Yes. Yeah, we do.
Literacy.
We do have coaches, volunteer coaches from the financial industry, also for people who, after watching the budgeting series, they think, I really need somebody to talk with about my specific situation. And they can reach out to us, and we can put them in touch with a volunteer coach. Again, for low-income families, that service is zero cost.
Okay. And with that in mind, the application is, you say, all online, and it's month to month. So
yes.
November the 1st it opens. And from there, I'm looking at a quick question from one of our listeners online asking about it. But I think you referenced earlier to repeat how to get in touch with us. So
sure. So they can go and pre-register now, even though we're opening November 1. They can actually go on resilience.ky today and pre-register right on the first page that they land. There is a button that says register here, and that will just put them in the list to be able to get the application as soon as it becomes live on November 1. And we also have a number that they can call in on, which is 333-1010.
Well, that shouldn't be too hard of a 333-1010.
333-1010.
All right. And that'll be someone there. Now, is that man?
Yes, it is. So anybody who doesn't have online access or they're having trouble filling out the application, they can call this number to get help.
Okay. And with that, now, what sort of documentation, if any, would the applicant have to provide to satisfy?
So obviously proof of income, so recent pay stub, if there is one. If they're not working, then a termination letter. If they are facing disconnection on their utility service, we would want that. If they are facing eviction, we would want that eviction notice. So the more they can share, the faster the application will go. We have a list on as part of the application process that will identify exactly what documents we need. And of course their status on the island. And I think one of the key areas that's also emerging now, and I think this is very recent in light of the community cases that we're facing, is the vast number of people who are facing quarantine at home.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you think of the households that were already struggling paying their bills before, and the number of hours they work is how they pay for their bills and keep their families fed, when they are no longer working for whatever number of days, they're not getting paid necessarily. And that's a hardship. So it could take down people who already were struggling even further and get behind on their bills.
And I mean, I'm not going to perhaps ask for us to discuss that unless you wish. Certainly for me, it's not just academic, but you raise a very valid point in that the wider community, not just our policymakers, but the wider community, to consider that. Here's a person who is now required, because of the protocols, to be at home for a period of time following some testing. They're docked. They're not being paid for that time. That's a significant financial impact.
It is.
On that family's
if they
ability.
don't have sick pay, if they're not covered for lost wages by their employer, then that essentially falls on their savings. And I believe government has announced a program recently, a stipend for $1 million to assist such households. And so I see they do recognize that this need exists today. I think the eligibility for it is Caymanians and PR. So people who are on work permit who essentially are locked down for the same exact reason, but their status is different on the island.
They still have to eat as well.
Yes. So our program will assist those who don't qualify for the government program.
And as you were just referenced the documentation, obviously there, there's passport, work permit, something to substantiate this is who
their
it is.
resident status on the island. And if it is related to the quarantine, then the public health notification that they received requiring them to quarantine.
Which is interesting. I mean, just a passing comment. I've had an early presentation yesterday and this morning as well from some people just voicing, generally speaking, from the employer's perspective, I have this company, this number of people that are out because of the requirements. Should I pay them? How do I pay them? And afford to, if I don't pay them, how does that reflect on me as the employer?
Right.
From the employee's perspective, but I'm being required to do this. And it's almost a catch-22 in many instances. How do you do the right thing? Well, this is where, opportunities arise, and citizens like you come on board, fill in the gap for us now to help out and provide what could be a very, very difficult taxing time for many of us.
Absolutely. I mean, I believe that COVID has opened up areas for us to look at, perhaps some that were pre-existing from before, where certain families really needed assistance to start with to get to a better place. But it has just taken it to a different level. And then there are now new areas of need, new families who have never needed to ask for help before, who are facing that. And that has been probably our biggest learning, I think, for our whole team. It's just the vast number of people who are asking for assistance for the first time.
I think maybe what it highlights is that there are many of us who work. And we've heard people say, I'm making money, but not enough to make ends meet. By the time they pay their bills, there's nothing left. There's no savings. There's probably not even enough to pay for the food and for all the utilities and all the other expenses relative to the household. So from one month to the next, that pressure could be impacting that family's interaction with each other, to the breakdown that we see in society. Little things that maybe this will, if not uncover, at least apprise us that they exist. How do we respond to that? There can be some challenges that provide wonderful opportunities if we embrace them, right?
Absolutely. I think it has helped people to also look at their budget for the first time and maybe make changes on where they spend and how they take care of their families. So that's what I've seen from talking with many people in the community. And then for others, it's also a chance for us to be able to support them. We may not be able to take away their whole burden, but perhaps this will just give them that extra help that they need at that time.
I guess we never know the burdens of many until
we don't.
Well, we got a news break. you share some other
sure,
wonderful
yes.
programs with us? All right.
I do have another program I'd love to talk a little bit about if we have time.
We do? All
okay.
Right. Well, Miss Susan's right there. And as we go to the news, when we come back, we invite you to be a part of our discussion. So stay tuned.
Follow Radio K-Man on Twitter. All the latest information, breaking news, community events, and more. Follow us at twitter.com/Radio K-Man.
Today's biggest news.
Radio K-Man, your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is headlines from Radio K-Man's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The Minister of Health issues a video update on COVID-19 in light of increased community transmission, including the emergence of positive cases in the Sister Islands. The Honourable Sabrina Turner says the continued rise in cases is likely due to increased testing, as well as the highly contagious nature of this virus, and in particular of the dominant Delta variant.
I am urging everyone to stay calm. The Cayman Islands, all three of them, are in a very good position to manage COVID-19 and emerge on the other side.
She announced that lateral flow tests will be distributed to schools in Cayman Brac as well as on Grand Cayman, adding that national guidelines on COVID-19 testing for children and students will be released today. In international news, U.S. President Joe Biden declared Thursday he has reached a historic economic framework with Democrats in Congress on his sweeping domestic policy package, a hard-fought yet dramatically scaled-back deal announced just before he departs for overseas summits. Biden's remarks at the White House came after he traveled to Capitol Hill to make the case to House Democrats for the still robust domestic package, $1.75 trillion of social services and climate change programs the White House believes can pass the 50-50 Senate. Families of 9 victims killed in a racist attack at a black South Carolina church have reached a settlement with the Justice Department over a faulty background check that allowed Dylan Roof to purchase the gun he used in the 2015 massacre. The $88 million deal, which includes $63 million for the families of the slain and the $25 million for survivors of the shooting, was set to be announced Thursday in Washington. Those are your latest headlines here on Radio K-Man. I'm Shana Gallego.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio K-Man on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio K-Man app or log on to our website, radiokman.gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon, welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And in the studio, Ms. Jan Gupta, Resilience Cayman. And as you share in the programs, I think, for me anyway, it's good to see that we live in a community where many of us recognize that there's great need. We're willing to step up, whether as Ms. Conley reminds us, give of our time, our talent, or our treasure. We can help in some way to make a positive, meaningful impact. So thanks to the grant, as you shared, it's not a small amount in the NGO sphere.
Absolutely. It's one that we hope we can make it stretch and go as far as we can to help as many people.
Two immediate questions, because there is a finite amount. Even the richest person in the world, that money can be spent. It may take a few lifetimes, but it can be spent. It's not without an endless bottom, as it were. But how long do you think your resources and assistance would extend?
For now, it's hard to tell because it all depends on how many people apply and what kind of assistance they're applying for. If I had to guess, I would say probably until about March of next year.
February, March next year?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I was thinking as well. And with that, again, just generalizing, I know you referenced, early days, 5,000 applicants, you supported 3,000 families. How many are you expecting or estimating may potentially? Again, it's a general number.
Hard to tell, again, because the numbers have ranged so widely. I think if I could get one message out there, is that to not give up. If somebody is applying for the first time, they're not familiar with our application, don't get frustrated. We want to help, so we will not turn anybody away. If they can find a way to reach us, either on our website, there is a contact form, or to call us on that number that I provided, 333-1010. we should be able to put them in the right place and even help them fill out the application. The reason we do it online is really to make sure we can process everything faster. As soon as we get into paper, well, then somebody has to manage it, and information cannot necessarily be reviewed as quickly.
Okay.
And the other would be for them to just make sure they know where their valuable documents are, because I know for many people, just finding all the pieces of information that we might ask for are all over the place. So they may not have a good system to keep their valuable documents safe. And that might take them a few weeks to pull together. So if they are feeling like they have need today, then that's the first thing they can do, is to go on our website and pre-register, and then start getting their documents together around whatever information we believe we are going to need in terms of their employment situation and what kind of bills they are behind on. So they would need to upload those documents to us. And that could be done on their phone.
Okay. And then now, Monday is the 1st, so that's when and it's a month to month.
Yes.
So for the person that applies, they may have been a former applicant, they can apply
Absolutely.
again. Can be a new applicant.
Yes.
But each month they would be expected to apply.
Yeah, because their needs might change. So this month maybe they are behind on their CUC bill, but they're keeping up with the rest and their rent. Next month they might fall behind somewhere else. So it's as the needs change, we ask them to reapply.
Right, and they can be employed or they can be unemployed.
Absolutely, it's the key threshold is income for an individual of $1,500 or less.
Okay, what about
in the month of November that they're expecting?
And what is a household? Because I'm thinking, like, for instance, the hospitality sector, both spouses may have been employed there in the tourism-related sector, and now the challenges. So
it's $2,500 for a household is the income threshold or less. So
15.
if the household is making $2,500 or less, they would still qualify from an income standpoint, and they're not receiving the tourism stipend, right? Because I think there's a number of people who are receiving that, but they could still have need for other things. Perhaps they're struggling with that. Then I would still encourage them to apply, and we will look at every application that comes in, and we will advise people, even if they do not qualify, they will hear from us to say, here are the reasons why we weren't able to approve your application this month.
Yeah, but even the exercise as you shared, looking at the video or understanding the financial budgeting, I say this with great respect for all of us. How many of us, even when we don't think it's a significant cost, during the day we go and we buy something, whether it's that hot beverage or whether it's that pastry, maybe it's the beverage and the pastry. If we were to keep track of that for a week or a month, is it $100? Is it $10,000? For some of us, we don't know because we don't track it. That's a significant amount of money that maybe we can afford it. Maybe we're not conscious of how much we're actually spending on those particular areas. So budget would help us, huh?
Absolutely, because I suggest to everyone to start looking at a rainy day fund. Essentially, even if it's $10 a month that they put aside in a jar and they don't touch it. You never know where there might come a month where these kind of situations come about, where that jar becomes really valuable in order to be able to pay the essentials.
Yeah. Well, I commend one of my sisters. Back in the day when we used to use cash,
yes,
many of us would have little change from our shopping adventures. What did we do with it? She was, to me, as she is wise, she said, listen, take it and put it in one spot. Keep it there. If you're smart enough, we have 4 denominations, the 1 cent, the 10 cent, kind of like that song, 5 cent, 10 cent, dollar. And put it in each, have it already separated out. And every so often you'll see that it's overflowing, you go cash it in. You may have $100, you may surprise yourself and have hundreds of dollars.
That's right.
So you'll sort of inherit free money.
Yeah, it's been actually a double-edged sword of sorts when everything has gone digital, is that because we don't deal in cash every day, most people don't really know how much they're spending anymore. Because when they had a certain amount of cash in their hand, they knew when they were running out.
Yeah, built-in budget, huh?
Right. But with credit cards and, online banking, it's difficult to keep on top of a budget. And then that's really when you need other strategies.
And there's a cost too of maintaining those funds. I mean, some bank charges can be
fees, yes,
significant relative to the amount of money in that account. Every time you swipe, it's a few cents. Well,
that's right.
So little things that can help us to be conscious that, Miss Olive Miller used to say, the poor man's pennies, can make millions. You just have to do it, right?
That's right.
All right. So just to recap, you're saying you're helping with food vouchers, subsidizing utilities, all the bills, rent subsidies, and the like, open to anyone legally resident, from the work permit holder, PR, to the Cayman. Just make the online application.
Yes, and who has been affected directly because of COVID. So that's the other kind of criteria, right? It's unfortunately, we just don't have those kind of funds where we would be able to assist the wider community. So we are focusing this program on workers, so people who were in the workforce or still are in the workforce but are struggling.
And I think this gives us a perspective that we not only can appreciate the cost of living, but the impact of living, just generally speaking. You're making a salary, all of a sudden it's not what it was before, and that was a struggle. Probably even a bit harder now. Costs have gone up, wages have come down. We have some subsidy.
Well, that could be a whole program in itself, talking about inflation.
You want to do
that? Talking about inflation is a whole segment in itself, because the way that inflation is basically a hidden tax on society. So as cost of everything goes up, and we are run on fuel, everything we do uses electricity in every society, in modern society. So inflation is how the value of money gets eaten away. And so even though people might be making the same as before, it doesn't go as far.
Without the purchasing power, the disposable income. Right. That's a discussion we should invite. Maybe you'll help us to, economists and the social scientists, sometimes we speak in a way where we forget that the audience listening don't always appreciate, what we're talking about. The marginal utility or something like that.
Yes.
That hidden tax. I wonder, though, globally speaking, how accurate we are in calculating the CPI. How much account?
We're not, because the CPI is an artificial definition of what is in a typical average household basket. Many things like fuel are not included in there.
And even when you do include some of the things, the purchasing for this household is not the same as the other. If you want seemingly to eat healthier, that seems to have a premium cost attached to it. Now, why is that when the overriding health costs are reduced? Presumably, if you're healthier. Also, that notion of inflation. I like it. I'm going to invite you for that discussion later on.
Okay.
All right. But you have other programs you were sharing about.
I do.
As well.
There's another one that's really exciting, and it kind of goes back to what I shared earlier about self-empowerment and people really taking responsibility also for themselves as part of being part of the community and facing a hardship. I think there's an opportunity to also reevaluate perhaps what their career is that they might have been in before. Is that still the career they want to continue with? So is this hardship now presenting them with kind of a fork in the road where instead of seeing it as a disaster that has occurred, but to also now look at the other side of it to say, I am now free to redefine how I want to spend my time. And perhaps they had a hobby before where it was just something they do in their spare time, but they did something else for work. Well, now it presents them with an opportunity. Perhaps that hobby can be turned into a business.
Yeah.
And so we started a program at the beginning of the year called Local Market, which is essentially an online marketplace, similar to Amazon. So we have a local Amazon in Cayman. And the basis of it is to feature all things that are made in Cayman, that are grown in Cayman. So we have several farming partners, farms that are participating in this, because food security is something else that's very close to my heart. This is something that I think is a sleeper issue for any island community, but specifically for ours because we are so dependent on imports.
Food imports in particular.
Exactly, for food imports. So we came up with this idea of generating to open an online marketplace where we assist with the vendors, and they could be just one person But as long as they've got a business license and they are actually making a go at a business, whether that is just making chutney and pepper jelly, or plantain chips, or coconut oil, well, now they actually can join this marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
And what we assist them with is essentially all of the headaches that go with operating a business. So how to take orders, how to process payments, how to market yourself online in the digital space. Well, those are all jobs, full-time jobs in themselves,
Mm-hmm.
let alone whatever they are actually making with their knowledge and their creativity. So what we've said is you focus on what you do best, which is come up with great ideas for food, beverages, other types of products that we know that people are very, very talented if they can only get a platform that allows them to be able to sell.
Yeah. You can focus on the creativity and not have to worry about the business side of things sometimes. Yeah.
And people who have started doing that, they're marketing it on Facebook, on Instagram, and social media. That still doesn't go all the way because they still have to deal with the orders. They still have to deal with customers. Oh, this is broken. I got to send this back. I got to refund, the money, send something else to them in place of that. And I have to find a way to deliver to them. So you'll see a lot of people driving to deliver whatever they might have cooked up that day. Well, we take care of all of that. So we have a delivery service that we've contracted with who will pick it up from the vendor's location or from the farm and deliver directly to the customer's door. And all they have to do is basically the customer just goes online to it's called localmarket.ky, and they will just go online, register a free account, and then they can shop just like they do in Amazon, where they can put things in their basket from different vendors and check out at the end and just prepay their order. And we will hold that payment and that order until it is fulfilled. So until the vendor actually sends all of the items that have been ordered, and we know that they have been delivered, that's when the payment gets sent to the vendor.
So for those who are, comfortable online shopping and they go on to that one place, they'll pick, let's say 5 items and maybe 5 different suppliers.
Yes.
Just like that. So if any Cayman contacts, we get it from the farm A, farm B, local artisan here, and local artisan there. It'll all come to one central spot. You have it all sort of consolidated.
That's
and
right.
Then delivered to
the customer.
Huh, convenient.
Yeah.
And the person just needs to click and, what does it say, Susan? Click and pay?
Click and pay.
Oh,
and
she does have that.
It's been wonderful to see how much creativity there is among local suppliers of so many things that we, this is something else that we've just actually piloted in partnership with Cayman Connection, which is the Caymanians Overseas organization in the UK. We're actually testing out a export program so that they can order, Caymanians Overseas can order from local market here and get a taste of home in the UK.
Boy, whenever you're at school in particular, how you miss home.
Exactly.
Some of us would just go off campus just to try to prepare a meal with ingredients. Nowadays it's easier. So this would be excellent for those students who are missing, especially this time.
Yeah.
And the challenges to travel, hopefully it would be ease, but still maybe making it a little bit easier and less of a homesick
That's right.
feel.
And if they want to get gifts for family here, then they can buy a gift card off of the marketplace so that their family member they're sending it to can shop in any of the stores, the online stores in the market.
So localmarket.ky.
Localmarket.ky.
So let's explore that. All right, we're going to find a little break. When we come back, could we ask you to recap, repeat the numbers, the website for Resilience Cayman, get people to be more comfortable with understanding what is available, what resources and assistance, and not to feel so bad about having to ask. It's a strength when you can ask for help. This is just a different time for all of us.
That's right.
All right, we're going to pause and take that break. When we come back, more talk today.
We may be in Christmas shopping mode, but 'tis the flu season too. Savannah Pharmacy has immune system boosters for the entire family with a range of vitamins and supplements. Their knowledgeable and courteous pharmacists are always available to offer the best advice and products. Remember, they are always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
A friendly holiday reminder. You can WhatsApp your Savannah Pharmacy prescription to 929-5045. That's 929-5045.
Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your sister islands. The ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom. The land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your sister islands.
Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointments.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
You can now register to receive a securely verified digital copy of your COVID-19 vaccination status with QR code through the My HSA patient portal. Sign up is available at all HSA locations and at various sites throughout the community. To register, all you need is your photo ID showing date of birth and a valid email address. Visit hsa.ky and click My HSA Patient Portal for the sign-up schedule and more information.
Do you want to serve your community? How about learning new and exciting skills? The Cayman Islands Regiment is now accepting applications for volunteers. Caymanian and permanent resident applicants should be between 18 and 50 with a clean police record. No military experience is required. Apply online at www.gov.ky/CI Regiment. Applications close on November 15th, 2021.
COVID-19 vaccines are the only way forward in reopening our borders safely. Take the COVID-19 vaccine to protect yourself and the ones you love, especially those of us who cannot get vaccinated. For more information on the COVID-19 vaccine, visit www.gov.ky/coronavirus.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thank you very much. And if you want to join the discussion, we have opportunity a few minutes to speak with Jan Gupta. And I should have referenced it earlier because I think what you're sharing is not only informative and very timely, but as people are joining and listening, they appreciate that there is help, but it's a help, a sense of love, compassion, consideration, and respect. And I think too many times within the Cayman context, we are reluctant to ask, not only because we don't know who to ask, where to ask, and so on, but there's a sense of independence. I won't say pride, independence. Or we don't necessarily want to have to, reach out. So this is, as we say, a help up, not a handout.
Absolutely, it's not a handout. It is a hand up
Mm-hmm.
during a difficult time where many people are facing hardship and challenges, and having to really look inward and to prayer as well, because these are circumstances that none of us have ever faced.
Mm-hmm. Quite unprecedented, and I think how we respond individually as well as collectively, not only going to define future generations, but going to sort of determine how we are perceived, what legacy we leave. The big fat bank account, the statues in our honor, the parks named after us, the buildings, whatever it is, it's only about part of our contribution to humanity. So giving and giving with love should be our mantra. Huh?
Absolutely. I think this any crisis like this, or I don't I don't think any of us in living memory have a recollection of what the Great Depression or any of those kind of historical events was like. But I can say that these kind of crises bring out the best in humanity and unfortunately also the worst.
Right. I mean, if you think of just the Great Depression, we can see many changes from financial legislation to other societal impact. But we see the greed of, what were the term, the robber barons of the era.
Were also formed during that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And many people made, probably very much like now, globally speaking, maybe in Cayman as well, a lot of money because of the opportunities. But a lot of people gave everything they had to help each other.
Yeah.
And so the best and the worst. Dickens, the best of times, the worst of times.
The worst of times. That's right. He said it best.
Yeah. So let's try to make it the best of times as
That's
we
right.
can. You referenced a number of ways that we can access it. And you said the 1st of November. Was that Monday?
Monday.
So the application's open. It's all online.
Yes, and people can go today online and pre-register.
Mm-hmm.
That way, when the application's open, they will get an email with the link to apply.
What is the website again for people?
Resilience.ky.
Resilience.ky.
Yes.
And they go on all the criteria, all the documentation required, whatever information is asked.
Yes.
Right there, very easy to follow.
Yes.
Upload
very easy
everything.
to follow, and if they run into trouble and have questions, they can call us.
Was it 333-1010 you said?
That's right.
I know some of us are telephone aficionados, others prefer the digital platform.
We were lucky to get a number that's easy to remember.
Yeah. Sort of like the 1-800-534. With that, though, and with a question that came in earlier, let me ask of you. We referenced this month to month. So for November, what the person's sort of expected expenditures and income would look like. There's a Budgeting 101 video that will help guide us.
Yeah.
There were two questions. Is that video just available ordinarily without someone have to make an application? I'm thinking it could benefit many of us to appreciate, how we should pinch our pennies a little bit better.
Yes, we're working on making it more widely available.
Mm-hmm.
For now, it's only for people who are applying for assistance.
Mm-hmm.
But I have had interest in the video series. We developed it ourselves from various areas in the community. So we're looking to see how, from a technology standpoint, how we can make it available more widely.
And then since it's month to month with the application, the person would put in two questions. I think I remember. One was like, how long after the application opens on 1st that the person will be notified in order to get assistance for the month of November?
Yes, it will be our review process should be about 2 weeks. So the applications are all being collected in kind of 2-week increments. And then just reviewed as they come in.
Mm-hmm.
And then a decision is made and communicated after that 2-week review process is over.
Okay. So probably by the end of November.
By the end of November.
They'll be able to have some assistance to cover the month's expenditures and the like. And then they'll have to apply again for December.
Yes.
Should it warrant. It'll be the same sort of timeline as well.
Yes, I would say that if anybody is facing immediate hardship, like they're on the verge of getting kicked out from their home that they're renting, or they are facing a serious, they've already been disconnected, or they don't have money for food, they literally just got their employment terminated, then they can also contact us so that we can provide them with something before their application is reviewed.
Okay. So rent, subsidy, utilities, food vouchers, and the like. What about people who are struggling with mortgages? That was the other question that came in. Some people are just still, they manage to get a place, but they hold on it very, very thinly before it's being foreclosed.
I would like to hear more. We did have a number of people who expressed that concern earlier. I would say end of last year. And we have had some conversations with the banks. Right now, nobody seems to know the extent of that hardship that people are facing with their mortgages. So if there are people listening who are facing that situation with their mortgage, I would encourage them to just contact us through our website or to call us and let us know. We don't have mortgage in this program per se. but we are collecting information so that we can bring it to the relevant organizations to say there is an emerging problem with this, and perhaps there are other partners or parties who might be better suited to address that. But right now, the information on that issue is it's really sitting with people in their homes and in their mortgage statements. It's not necessarily something that any organization necessarily has that they are tackling.
Yeah. And it sort of comes back to, people knowing that there is assistance, but also appreciating that people are not only willing, but they're able to help. And for some of us, we bear the burdens ourselves. We think it's a personal matter. And it probably is to some, but you worked hard, you're working hard. We just fall behind.
Absolutely. I mean, and if there was ever a time when it's easy to fall behind, it would be now if anybody's employment is affected. And so all of their hard work that they've put into buying their first home or their family lives there now, losing that is a very traumatic experience. So we definitely do want to hear from people who are facing that situation, although we don't have any programs for it right now.
There's one call just coming in at the end. I think Ms. Susan connected the white wire to the blue wire and seeing if we can find a copper tubing. Maybe we can take this call and see what it is.
Sure.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Hi, good afternoon, Sterling.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing well. Good afternoon to your guest. I heard what she said when she said that we don't have, data on the hardship that these people experience in the loss of homes, and there's no reason we shouldn't have that data, because NAU should have that data. Other organizations who've helped should have that data. All of that should still be available. So there's really no reason that data shouldn't still be there, because this hardship went on for a while, not just through COVID. And it was on several years ago when we found there was a lot of foreclosures of people losing their homes. And there was a great plea in the community about assistance and ensuring that where necessary, the politicians were able to step in on their behalf and stop the bank. So I think there is data. It's a matter of us collecting that data, but the data is there. So it shouldn't be said that there isn't data collected, but it's there. Let's go to the organizations who dealt with those persons, and you'll find the data.
Well, probably is, and maybe that's a start. All right.
Yeah. Sometimes what it takes is for renewed emphasis or a focus. So she's right that there probably is historical data available. But again, with limited budgets, both for government and for the nonprofit sector, what it takes is for us to really understand, I can only speak for resilience, to say that we would need to understand the problem better and to see exactly what kind of help, if any, we could come up with down the road. So I don't have access to any of that data. And even in perhaps areas that may have that, they may not necessarily have it in a format that they can use it. And it may not be as current as perhaps as would be needed to put any kind of program together. So I wouldn't assume to say that there is nothing happening, but I can say that as far as resilience goes, that's not an area we have necessarily been able to assist in before.
Right. I certainly appreciate that call, remind us. And as you shared, Ms. John, resilience.ky for the assistance for those who may have concerns about their mortgage, not just their rent. Perhaps share that information with you and the organization and see what level of need that exists. Any closing thoughts that you have for our listeners?
No, I would just say that although this is a difficult time and unpredictable time with the recent developments on the island, with the number of cases, and we are looking at a border reopening coming up, and many people are concerned about going into quarantine and losing their wages, etc. I would just offer that we are here to help. And if you are looking for assistance but don't know how to ask, all you have to do is on your phone or on your computer to look up resilience.ky, see how we have helped the community. And I think what's really important to me is to not take away people's dignity when they ask for help. And so everything that we have designed and the way we engage with the community at large who asks for assistance is really with that in mind, to make sure that we do recognize that everybody can fall in hard times.
Yeah, but the grace of God goes high. Thank you very much, and hopefully we'll get an opportunity in the future. If you have something else to share, that we can invite you back, talk about resilience, but equally, maybe some financial literacy. We can all learn. If we apply those principles, we can be better.
Thank you.
All right, enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Okay. And to our listeners, come back tomorrow for the record with Mr. Art, and then stay tuned for all of the Radio Cayman has to offer, because we want you to be a part of Talk Today right after the midday news and midday meditation. Until then, be blessed. I think Mr. Wilson spin a shot, put a record on the turntable. Remember those days? Yeah. I'm not as young as I look, but I'm still good. This song is for someone. Until tomorrow, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.
From district to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman. One radio, many people.